about the biggest problem in the country today. And obviously you're here because you know we have problems. And if I asked each person what the biggest problem is, some of you would say healthcare, the economy, maybe it's radical Islam. Not bad, but I say it's education. Because if we don't educate our children any better than we are, they're not going to grow up knowing or understanding what any of the issues are. They won't know. So education, even if you don't have children, is the most important issue. You might say, well, my kids graduated public school, or I don't have any kids, or my kids are in private school. Why should I care what goes on in the public school down the street? To that person I say, your stateroom in the back of the Titanic is in very good shape. When the front of the boat hits the iceberg, doesn't matter the shape of your stateroom, you are going down with the ship. And unless public education in this country improves, we are going down with the ship. As was mentioned before, the progressives are in control of the ship. They don't love this country the way you and I do, trust me. They might love it, but they want to transform it. Those of us here, I think, want to get back to original principles. They want to take it somewhere else. Just a few things in public education that are problematic. Take the textbooks, for example. If you have kids, grandkids, look at the textbooks. They've been dumbed down. More and more pictures, less and less text. Judaism and Christianity are presented fairly, warts and all. Not Islam. Islam gets a pass. 7th grade history books talk about jihad as an inner struggle, as it was this 1960s peace and love thing. If you know anything about Islam, you know that jihad does not mean inner struggle. What holidays? Oh, by the way, are we talking about illegal aliens before? According to the textbooks, we don't have illegal aliens. Of course not. We have undocumented workers. Kids will not grow up in public schools knowing anything about people who cross the border illegally. Now, what you want to do with those people, we can have a discussion, but at least call them what they are. Holidays. Now, I know every school is different. I can't speak for every school, every public school in the state. But there are an awful lot of public schools that do not celebrate Memorial Day. They do not celebrate Veterans Day. How are children going to, I mean, you might do this at home, but don't you think in schools they should learn why we should respect soldiers, why they're valuable, why we should be grateful for soldiers? Yes. My goodness. The holidays we have in schools now are Dia de los Muertos, we have Hawaiian Day, we have Cesar Chavez Day. Does anybody know what today is? It's a holiday. Anybody know? Nobody knows. Son of a gun. Ask your kids. It's a day of silence. It's a yearly ritual. Public schools celebrate it. We're not supposed to talk today out of respect for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, heretofore being known as LGBT people who have been beaten or otherwise abused. So we're not supposed to talk today. I'm sorry, but I'm talking. In my school, we used to have something right before Memorial Day called Unity Day, which is really a multicultural day. I could do hours on that, but here's just a simple example. I liberated, my last year of teaching, I liberated in 2009, I liberated this sign, the vernacular of the day. This is what our children are learning, that a true evolutionary is guided by great feelings of love, the actual sign, by that noted love man, Che Guevara. So help me. Now, most of you, I'm sure, know that Che Guevara was a sadistic mass murderer, but kids in my school and many other schools think he is cool. He has kind of nice long hair, and he has a beret, sort of dashing looking. And the teachers don't teach it. 5 teachers in my school have pictures of Che Guevara on the wall. I'm talking about music teachers and math teachers. That's what's going on in the public schools. Now, Paul alluded to something about homosexuality in the school. A couple of things. A member of the LGBT wing of the National Education Association recently, at a UN conference, said, and I'll clean this up, that she felt that 11-year-olds needed to learn self-gratification. 11-year-olds, middle school. In public school, she's talking about this. SB 48, which I think Paul was alluding to, is going around Sacramento right now. Mark Leno's bill would essentially get to the point where every time you mentioned a person in history, you would have to mention his ethnicity and his sexuality. I know this sounds loony to you. It is loony, but it is happening, and it's probably going to pass. Now, forget even going beyond the morals of this, is the fiscal angle here. Just think about all the textbooks that are going to have to be reprinted for all the political correctness. State's in bad enough shape. Do we want to start, you know how many students we have, we want to start buying textbooks for all those students? I don't think so. Also, as I said, today is a day of silence. If you miss it this month, well, next month you have Harvey Milk Day. And by the way, I have nothing against homosexuality. What people do behind closed doors is their business. I don't think the government has any right doing anything to people. They do things behind their closed doors. But please keep your radical agenda out of my face and out of the schools. And one final holiday I'm sure you've never heard of. Does anybody know what November 20th is? And please go home and Google it, because it's called the Transgender Day of Remembrance. Transgender Day of Remembrance. Yeah, what is right. That's what's going on as far as sexualization. I really feel that today is a day of silence, that the radical homosexuals, frankly, are trying to silence us. I don't think they're being silenced at all. All this is what's called social justice, which is shortcut for radical political and social agenda. Its twin brother or sister is multiculturalism, and all the above is overt. There's no secrets about what I just said. You do a little research, you can find all this out. What you might not know is that if your kid belongs to a gay-straight alliance club and they meet at lunch, you don't have a right to know about it. That's not your business. The school doesn't have to tell you. And there are many schools that don't have to tell you if your high school-age daughter is let go during class time to get an abortion. They can let your kid go class time, get an abortion, they don't tell you. Now, Alan Mansour, who is new assemblyman, Orange County, is trying to get that changed. We need to back that. It's SB 1348. No, excuse me, I think it's AB 1348. The number's 1348. I think he's in the assembly, so excuse me on that one. So you ask, okay, there's all the social justice going on. What happened to what we used to learn about when we were in school? How are we doing there? How's California doing? Well, not too well. 30% of the students who go into the UC system. I moved out here in '83. The UC system was in trouble then. I've heard back in the 60s it was fabulous. I'll take people's word for it. Maybe it was the 1950s. Weren't so many good things in the 60s. 30% of those students need remediation. 30%. That number goes up to 60% in the Cal State schools, and 90%. Believe it or not, 90% of the students who go into the community colleges in this state, the city colleges, the community colleges, need remediation. That means K through 12 schools are not doing their job. Simple as that. So not only are you paying for this education of the students, then you're getting paid for the re-education so that they can learn what they're supposed to learn the first time. So you're paying twice. I'm from LAUSD. About 60% of those students drop out. An enormous waste of money and lives. And I think the number is about 30% across the state. Way, way too high. Across the country, we now spend 3 times what we spent in 1970, and we're not getting any better results. In fact, in many ways, the results are worse. On international tests, at best, we're halfway up, where we're sort of in the middle of the pack, but we still can't quite get up to Slovenia and Slovakia, Poland and Hungary, and Liechtenstein. It's amazing. I know you're all dying to know, where is the teachers' union in all this? Well, it's on tape, folks. Randy Weingarten, president of the AFT. Dennis Van Rokel, president of the National Education Association, our 2 big teachers' unions, are both down with social justice. You never hear them talk about the math scores, but you will hear them talk about social justice.
What else does the union do for our education system? Well, they make sure that there's a seniority provision in the Ed Code. So now, when going through some tough fiscal times, which you all know about, come September, some teachers are going to be losing their jobs. We don't know how many. A lot of things can happen between now and September, but teachers will be losing their jobs. There was a great story, actually a tragic story from Los Angeles about 2 weeks ago, and this just typifies what's wrong with seniority. The Times wrote that there was a teacher in a school, was a young teacher, very devoted, was a great teacher, kids loved him, the parents loved him, the kids learned a lot. Clearly the best teacher in the school, and there's one, frankly, stinker in the school. And so the principal asked the good teacher to sort of tutor the not-so-good teacher, or the bad teacher, which he was doing. And the bad teacher was getting better. And March 15th comes, that's Pink Slip Day. That's when teachers are notified that they might be losing their jobs in the fall. Guess which one got the pink slip? Right, it was the good teacher. The good teacher got the pink slip. So that goes through, the good teacher loses their job, and the teacher he was tutoring because he wasn't a good teacher will stay on the job. This is the kind of system that the teachers' unions back. They back tenure. In this state, 2 years, you have a job for life. The unions will tell you, oh no, you can get rid of a bad teacher. It's the administrators that don't know what they're doing. That's bull. It is almost impossible to get rid of a bad teacher, and if you do, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's easier, you can get rid of a felon. Easy, you know, if somebody's a felon, it's still not easy, but that's doable. And this is a true story, and I'll make it very short. And this is a teacher at a school I used to teach at. He was accused of touching a female inappropriately. When it came to the trial, the student refused to testify. They put him in another school. He did the same thing. They took him out. He doesn't lose his job. They put him in the district office, sometimes known as the rubber room, where he was vegetating. He then decided to bring porn to school one day. Got caught reading in the district office, and the last I heard, going through his union lawyer, doing his best to save his job. He's getting paid all this time. He's accumulating pension time. He has his health benefits. These are the kinds of teachers that need the union, and this is why the union is there. Good teachers don't need unions to protect them. Merit pay, unions think everybody should get the same, except you have another year on the job, you should get more money. Salary steps. 2-year teacher gets more than a 1-year teacher, 3-year teacher more than a 2-year teacher. So basically, all a teacher has to do over the summer is not die, and they get a raise in the fall. What kind of system is that? It is so un-American. Every person here who has a job probably has that job is because they're good at it, and if they make more money than somebody else on that job, it's probably because they're better at it. I think this is the American way. And as you know, the unions fight vouchers because that'll lead to the privatization of schools in America. As if this is terrible. I still don't know why it's terrible. I've yet to hear a union leader say why it's terrible, except for the fact that they don't unionize private teachers, so they'll lose money, so it's certainly bad for them. I understand that. And lately, unions have been sort of more up on charters than they used to be, but that's because they can unionize them, and in the process of doing it. By the way, does anybody know what teachers make in this state? About average? Anybody know? It's about $68,000 a year. Now, I'm a former teacher, and I will tell you that teachers love to complain about how little they make. Now, I'm sorry, if you're making, this is average, I'm not talking about top end, I'm talking average, $68,000 a year for 180 days work. Good health plan, state-busting pension plan, you have no right to complain. Now, what you might complain about is what the average teacher pays in union dues per year, which is over $1,000 in the state. $1,000 goes to the union. When you multiply what CTA takes, which is, so when the teacher joins a union in this state, let me just back up for a second, they essentially join three. They join their local, but they're forced to join the state, the CTA, or the CFT, the California Federation of Teachers, then the national organization, either NEA or AFT. CTA in the state takes, from its 325,000 members, about $630. You do the multiplication, CTA's income, revenue, is about $200 million a year for doing nothing. As a matter of fact, they do things, but they're not good things. Between 2000 and 2009, they were by far, California Teachers Association, by far the biggest spenders in the state on politics. $212 million, it's public record.